So please let me know if if you guys can hear me. It's been a while since I've done a live stream, and I'm super excited to do it from the break room at Ashland Leather Company. This is where we take our lunches, if you're curious. Let me know if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Hopefully things are working. You can hear me and see me. We've got so many limited release things to look at today. Yo, Kangaroo, thank you. A bunch of special stuff that we're gonna look at. And this is our final 13th anniversary release. All the stuff was cut in the calendar year 2024 that have a special 13th anniversary stamp on them. So let me give you a look at what I'm talking about here. Hopefully you can see that. So we have the XIII stamp for most of the pieces here. Some of the pieces we don't ever stamp, so those have no stamp at all, but everything else has this special 13th anniversary stamp on it. And like I said, this stamp was retired on New Year's Eve, which was the last day that was actually stamping these. So everything we're about to look at will be released in less than an hour up on our website, ashlandleather.com. I'm really excited to show you some stuff that I've hidden in our kitchen here at the break room. This is, we're cooking up some good stuff here. But the first thing I wanted to show you, and I actually forgot, I was gonna put this one in the fridge, but I didn't want it to get cold for too long. So let's pretend I just opened up the fridge and pulled this out. This is the basketball leather wallet that I put up a video, a little trailer of a video. We did a full making of video for this wallet that's not done yet, but that video will be released soon, so you can see exactly how we make everything. What's really special about this leather, and it's a good story to tell, is this is official professional basketball leather that is used on the court for every NBA game. And something that people don't really know is that NBA basketballs are the only ones that are actual leather. Every other leather that you find for basketballs, college including, in high school, they're all synthetic balls, but the pros are the only ones that use actual leather. And I remember about 15 years ago, we were big fans of Shaquille O'Neal when I was working at the tannery, because Shaq was one of the loudest voices advocating for leather basketballs. And they did switch to synthetic for a short amount of time, but I think Shaq sort of led the charge to get back into the actual leather. It's my understanding that the leather balls are a little bit more difficult for the players to play with. They don't have as much grip and much traction, like when you spin it off a backboard, for example. So anyways, I think it's really interesting that they purposely make it harder at the pro level. I see you guys chatting here. So glad you're here. Let me show you these things as fast as I can. And if we have some time, I would love to answer your questions. So if you have questions, save them for the end. Remember your question, and I will do my best to answer them. There's so many private stock things, limited releases to go through. You're gonna have to bear with me here. So basketball, we've got this special Johnny the Fox. It's hand stitched with a blue color stitching. I have a couple other basketball pieces. There's a one-shot card case here. I think there's actually 2 of these that we made. Most of the stuff in the drop today are one-of-one pieces, one-offs. Here's a Bugs Moran that I think turned out beautifully. I think there's also 2 of these as well. One more interesting thing for the leather nerds, the way that basketball leather is finished is with a really interesting method of finishing called inlay. So the leather looks really orange right now, but there's a point in the finishing process where this leather looks completely red. And if you look very closely at the texture, you might be able to see the peaks of the texture are a darker, like a bold reddish orange color. And the valleys of the texture are a lighter orange shade. Maybe you'll be able to see it a little bit better right there. This is a finishing method that they call an inlaid finish. So imagine the leather is all red, they pop a texture in there, and then they sink that orange color into all the valleys of that texture. So it's really like a orangey red basketball. Basketballs are really orangey red. In my brain, I just perceive it as orange, which is, it's really interesting finishing method. So I think that's super cool. There's been some experiments at the tannery before where they've messed around with inlays. And I've done those in the past as well with a different texture, and the inlaid finish looks really cool. We're gonna flip to the phone. Here's the kitchen. Let's see what I've got hiding here, what we're cooking up. All right, in the cabinet, there's plates and a can opener, but I hid a Herbie up here and a really cool, this is acorn aspen from Horween. And let me go into that and talk about this specific piece for a minute. Hopefully we're having fun with the cooking. All right, so this is Horween's latest and greatest leather. This is horsehide, and it's a full new leather tannage from the ground up. So they fully redeveloped this. It's a vegetable tan leather with a casein finish on the top coat. So it has a really brilliant luster, I'd say. It's very glassy and very silky feeling. It doesn't have much grab or tackiness to it. And then it has a really nice depth of color as well. This specific Herbie I cut from the mane of the horse. And if you look closely at the spine of the wallet, you can see that the grain texture of the mane is significantly different than all the areas on the, I'm sorry, I'm backwards. All the areas on the side of the leather. You can see how the texture, there you go. You might be able to see how that texture really drops off. So it's a little bit smoother on the sides, much more grainy and coarse towards the mane. You can kind of see some more natural imperfections there on the mane, and then it kind of drops back off on the other side as well. I thought the manes, I've always thought the manes of horsehides are super cool, so I love to cut them when I see them into interesting spots, like the spine of the Herbie. And then this Herbie also has some hidden card slots underneath. If you're not familiar with this guy, or the hidden slots, there's nothing holding this down, so it's one big open compartment underneath the 2 card slots on top. All right. Let me see if I've got something else hiding around. I think I do. All right, we're done with that one. In this cabinet, oh, we got something else special. This is a gray leather that I've always loved grays, but I was trying to make gray a thing for a while, and you know, I still love it. I think people are gonna love this as well. But we did 4 different gray leathers about 6 months ago and put up a poll and tried to see if people are interested in grays. I think this was not the people's favorite one. I think that was the vintage Dover, which had like a little bit more broken up character. Anyways, I have some of this gray laying around, and there's several pieces made in the gray cypress here that are beautiful. We'll get that in a minute. It also stamped that 13 stamp really nicely. So gray cypress, Bugs Moran. Also the edges are all gray as well, because this leather was dyed in a method called, it's struck through. So in the tanning drum, they introduced penetrating dyes that let the stain go all the way through the substance of the leather. Let's keep having fun here. What else we got? I think this might be the last one. Well, I found a Stevie Nicks cup. I'm not sure whose cup that is, but I really like it. There you go. But down here, boom, we got some Psychedelic shell cordovan cooking up. I should have put it in the oven, man. That was probably a fail. All right, Psychedelic. Couple Psychedelic pieces here that are really striking. The first one here is a comb sheath. And this one is the reverse side of the cordovan that has sort of a magenta and green dye splatter. It's really interesting because this side is much more dramatic than the other, which is like a little bit more of like a straightforward tan, but this is again for our 13th anniversary. We also did some hand stained color on the edge of this one to match from the green tones in that Psychedelic. We also have this Johnny the Fox. We did one last week for round 1 of the final 13th anniversary. This is Psychedelic shell in the orange color, and over, sorry, my camera's backwards. Over here, it's like, it's got some navy blue color, a little bit of red in it, but that sort of swirly texture, I think is super cool. The edges are all hand stained black. On this guy, we have black stitching, and then the inside, we've got some black shell cordovan with the 13 stamp as well. I think that's everything I hid in the cabinets. I forget what I did. Oh, you know what? We got one more. Let me just show it to you. All right, one more cabinet. And this is another Psychedelic piece, but we've got more behind it. Let me grab them all and show you these guys. And this would be a good opportunity to show you the difference in these 2 orange Psychedelic Johnny the Foxes. Now let's just put them on top of each other here. So there we go. So I think these were actually cut from 2 different shells. I actually like this one as well. This one's a little bit darker on the color. It doesn't have that blue, like a navy blue, but it's more of like a black. And then the other color, instead of being more red, instead of being more orange, like this guy is more orange, this one has more of those red splatters, which I think looks amazing as well. But just like the other one, we have the same black stitching. We've got a siren outside, black hand stained edges, and then the black shell on the inside with the Horween USA measuring machine stamp right here. All right, this is where it gets even more exciting, for me at least, because I'm a total leather nerd. This is a cool Fat Herbie. Somebody was messaging me today asking if there's gonna be Fat Herbies in the drop, and there are a few. This is one of them. I love that look, the consistent look of the same color and texture through the inside of the wallet. And this is very different than what we normally do. So technically, this is the reverse side of the cordovan that has the texture of the Western texture pressed into the reverse side. And what you see above it here, this is actually the shell side of that texture. This is what we've been calling ghost for the last few years. So when you press the shell from the backside, and it sort of, there you go. If I tilt it in the light just right, you can kind of see a ghostly effect of what that texture is. So this is reverse natural shell cordovan with the Western texture on top of ghost natural Western shell. It's a lot of words. Inside more of that Western on the natural, or on the reverse natural. Here is another one, and this is gonna look very different. So we had some aspen before. This is the aspen horsehide. I might be mistaken here, but I'm pretty sure that this is aspen steerhide. And you'll notice the texture is much more dramatic and intense when compared to that aspen horsehide. That's not to say that the horsehide can't be this intense as well, but I'm noticing, and you'll notice too, that this is a little bit more smooth of a texture, where this black piece here, and this is the first appearance of black aspen, this is really, really grainy and has a lot of character to it. Also have the black edge on this guy with more of the black on the inside, 13-year stamp. Another piece here that is total stunner, my favorite shell color, is amaretto shell cordovan. This is Western amaretto shell. It's a little bit more vibrant of a color when you compare it to natural shell. Little bits of orange and tan inside of this guy. It's really dynamic as well. So you'll notice as I tip it and angle it this way, the color changes. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit more vibrant at other angles. This one also has the same leather on the inside. And a little detail here that we've done from time to time is the candy cane hand stitching. So this one has two different stitches or stitching colors that alternate back and forth. So it's a cream color and a tan color that play off the amaretto very nicely. All right, I think that's the last thing in the, unless I hit something in the microwave. Nope. Yep, that's everything I had cooking up in the kitchen, but I have a whole bin of more stuff that I really would like to show you. Okay, I've got another psychedelic piece here that's a little bit more subtle this time. So we had the psychedelic earlier that's super, super intense, this sort of red and black. This one is a little bit more subtle, where it's got some magenta and green to it. The top piece here is actually violet shell cordovan. It's the most purple shade that Horween has. And then the back is a little bit more interesting color splatter. Again, with sort of that magenta and darker green. Horween ink stamp on the back. This is a design that we call the Lucky Card Holder. It has one open side right here that allows really easy access for cards or cash into the middle of the design with the cards on the outside. All right, Bugs Moran here. This is maybe the nicest shell that I've ever had, and hopefully the laptop camera here does a good job. But this is super, super glassy. That's a piece of marbled color 8 shell. I see a little streak there. That's just like fingerprints. It probably went away. Maybe I can get it to go away live on camera. All right, super nice shell here. Really, really glassy. This is exactly what you want to see in cordovan. And then on top of that, this is marbled color 8. And it has a range of color from a tan to a little bit more of a burgundy, and then a gradient of color in between. An actual waxed and burnished edge on this guy. And then the inside, this is the first time I've ever seen this. And I'm pretty sure what this is a piece of Dublin from Horween that is normally a consistent wax coat. It looks like this one didn't get an even coat of wax, but I love the effect. So I'm calling this mottled English tan cypress on the inside. Then we got the 13 stamp as well. So cypress on the interior keeps the cost down as well. I also really like the non-shell interior stuff we do for the fox and the vertical bugs because it keeps the thickness down and still equally durable. All right, another violet shell piece here. This is our Vic snap wallet, which is a single piece of leather that goes all the way around and then snaps closed. And then we designed this one originally as a coin pouch for a lot of our customers in Japan and in Europe were asking us for a design like that. Up next is some more of the aspen leather. This is a Bugs Moran with the aspen on the outside. Acorn is the name of this color. You can really see how grainy it is there and how shiny it is. On the interior, this is actually the English tan color, which I didn't have anything. This is a good story for a little sidebar here. The aspen leather has a little bit of stretch to it. So even if I had this same leather for the interior, which I don't have the correct thickness currently, I need a little bit of a thinner leather for all these interior card slots. The aspen leather is inherently a little stretchy, so I don't think you would want it for card slots on the inside, so I just found the closest match that I could. So it's English tan on the inside. Here's a fun one. This is our best-selling wallet, Johnny the Fox. This is the Acorn Aspen as well, with the same concept on the inside, English tan. So it's not like a perfect match from color, but I think it plays very well. And then a natural wax and burnished edge. I like how that aspen does have a random range of texture. So this one, a little bit more dramatic than some of the others. Here's a one-shot card case. I wanted people to experience the aspen for themselves. So I intentionally tried to make some lower priced stuff because I know a lot of the times, honestly, like the cordovan is super expensive. So I just want people to experience leather. So getting something like this, a little minimalist front pocket guy, they put 4 or 5 cards in, just a really nice, inexpensive way to get leather in your hands so you can see what this aspen is all about. You really have to see it because it's amazing. And I think on the camera here, it doesn't really do any justice. I wore a Herbie out of that leather and I absolutely love it. All right, we have a Vic snap wallet also in the Acorn Aspen, have a Bugs Moran, turned out beautifully as well. A little bit more subtle on this guy, but just love the luster and the feel of that aspen. Here's a Lucky card holder, also in the aspen. You might see a theme here featuring some aspen for this drop in the acorn color, which seemed to be everybody's favorite the first time we dropped it. I did a Capone money clip, also in the aspen. This one turned out great. And then we talked about the gray earlier, gray cypress. So this is gray cypress on the Capone. I really like how this turns out because we have the gray on the flesh side of the leather. And then we finish that flesh in with a little bit of resin just to keep it nice and smooth and just a little bit more refined than sort of like a suede look. And then I also really love the edge color of that gray cypress. And then did the same thing here. Want people to see this in person, so we made a few. Actually, I think we only made one of the one shots here. I do have more of this leather, I think, but not very much. So if you wanted something, you could always custom order it from us. All right, here's a fun one. Johnny the Fox. I really hope this color shows through. This is a leather that, or finish variation on the cordovan that Horween does not do very often, and they call it inverted shell. So the idea was they wanted the random look of the dye splatter that normally occurs on the reverse side of cordovan. We asked them to flip the leather upside down and finish it backwards. So they stained the back side of the leather here. You can see the bill slot is all blue, which left all the random dye splatter on the back, and then they glaze that in and finish it smooth. So this one has like a really beautiful sort of tan spot right there with little drip marks. And a lot of this is like a really deep aqua blue. We also have a blue hand stitching on this guy, blue hand stained edges. And then the interior also keeps the cost down a bit. We've got a full grain Latigo interior, which is $100 less than the shell version. Here's another Johnny the Fox, 100% shell, violet shell cordovan. This is, again, maybe the nicest shell I've seen. I feel like I say that very often, but Horween's making great stuff. Really love the violet color. And then we have the violet hand stitching, violet hand stained edges as well. The furnace went off, so hopefully that wasn't too loud. All right, here's another cool one. Variation on Chrome Excel. Last video I put up, it was all about Chrome Excel. You should check that out if you're curious to hear more about Chrome Excel, including a new version that they're working on. This is actually quite an old version that's called mechanical chrome excel. The tannery just calls it M's chrome excel. This is a horsehide that was tanned in the pits, and then you get a little bit more density with the pit tanned horsehide chrome excel as opposed to the chrome excel classic. So really great body and feel on this. And then I just love the texture of this particular piece. So Frank the Enforcer is our minimalist card holder for that guy. Here's another violet shell piece on the Bugs Moran with the violet hand stained edges as well, and violet shell on the back. Couple more pieces. These are lucky card holders that people have been requesting. I think I actually put this one up at a discount. So if you want a sweet deal, this one's 20% less. Let me see if I can show you on this camera. There's some very small scratches on the right side of the stamp there. You see that little squiggle? It might be hard to see, but for that little squiggle, it's a bunch of money off. So this is violet shell cordovan. The top piece is reverse, and then this is hand stitched with like a baby blue color stitching. We've got the hand stained edges and that same skip stitch that allows the inside center to be opened much more easily. And then it's sort of symmetrical on the back. So same violet shell on both sides. Here's another cool one. I don't think I've ever seen this before, and I was trying to figure out what color it was. Lucky Wallet. And this looked to me like a piece of Epic Splatter Reverse Color 8 shell. But this is, if you look in the inside, you can actually see it's more like color 4. So it's not color 8, but the splatter kind of looks like color 8, which is interesting. So we've taken that reverse splatter and then hand glazed it. So you might be able to see the sheen that we were able to apply to it. This is sort of like a future look at what normal reverse shell would look like. We've just expedited the process for you and made it a little bit more glassy. Natural waxed and burnished edge on this guy. We've got a hand stitching and then more of the Epic Splatter on the back. And now, similar to the Lucky Card Holder, we also have the Lucky Wallet, which is the same design, except it has a flap closure. This is made in Armagnac cordovan, which to me is like the hybrid between whiskey shell and cigar shell cordovan, or like a dark cognac. It's got like a little like golden bronze color to it. That's really beautiful. There's actually two of these. This one has the ink stamp on the top, and the other is exactly the same with an alternating card slot. This one has the Horween measuring machine stamp on the flap. All right, one more Lucky Wallet. We've got a couple minutes left. All right, this is navy shell cordovan with, again, an alternating card slot, and then navy shell on the back, hand stained edge with the navy color. This one is beautiful as well. The navy shell sometimes reads like a black color in certain lightings, but if you take it outside for a second, you'll really tell how blue it is. It's really dynamic depending on the light source. This one photographed so well. I'm so happy with this. This is also cypress leather from Horween, but this is the teal color. We should probably do more of this. In fact, I was thinking as I was taking these photos, how cool it would be to combine the gray and teal together. I think that might be on the next drop. So anyways, Fat Herbie, again, this time people were asking about Fat Herbies. We've got a beautiful one here in teal cypress with the matching teal stitching. Here's another Herbie in that same incredible pit tanned horsehide chrome excel. A lot of information to remember here, but it's a beautiful look, really dense, much more grainy than classic chrome excel. We had a contrasting cream color stitch on this guy, and then more of the pit tan horsehide chrome excel on the inside. And then this looks like a Herbie, but this is actually the Passport version. So it's a little bit taller than our standard Herbie, and maybe I can demonstrate that. So if you look at the height difference, it's about a 1/4 inch taller for the Passport version, and that allows a Passport to fit much more easily on the inside of this flap here. And then you've got 2 card slots on the other side. What's great about this design for a Passport wallet is the bill slot on the backside will fit every paper currency in the world, so it's really great for traveling. And then a couple more things here. This is a super special piece. And this might be the last of it ever. If you've been following the channel here for a bit, you may have come across the 1940s calfskin. We've done a lot of that in the blonde color, but there's also this color made that's more of a burgundy. So I think I'm just calling this burgundy 1940s calf. If you're not familiar with the story, this was leather that was tanned in 1949. That was returned to the tannery all those years ago, and it just sat there And then years later, they were trying to reproduce it, but they lost the formulation. So they actually kept this load of leather around to try to match to, and they were never able to successfully do it. So this is the last that will ever exist of it. They call this timber tanned calf, and the burgundy color here is really nice. This specific piece has some really interesting grain character, and you can tell it's a calf because of how fine that grain is. This is a really special Vic snap wallet, more of that grain character on the back too. And then here's another one. This is the new, I believe this is the new version of Chrome Excel. I don't even know what to call it because it's not even like a release thing. So this is polished full grain horsehide on the natural color of Chrome Excel. It's just a variation on a theme of classic Chrome Excel, but the difference is the sheen. The luster is a little bit different on this guy, but it's also much more grainy. It has a little bit more of a natural appearance with some texture, of course, from the grain. But if you were to compare this to normal Chrome Excel is like a little bit of a flatter appearance. It's a little bit more cleaned up, where the polished Chrome Excel grain is a little bit more rugged. And then I've got a machine gun jack wallet in magenta shell cordovan. It's right here. Magenta shell is it's the most pink color that we do. It's a little bit lighter than the ultraviolet shell. In fact, this might be, sometimes I confuse them, but magenta shell reads a little bit more pink, where the ultraviolet shell reads as like a light purple with a little pink undertone. They're pretty similar. And then two more pieces, we did it. This is football leather with the 13 stamp. I wanted to compare this with the basketball. They're super, super similar. The football leather does not have that inlaid finish, so it's a really flat, consistent color, except the peaks get polished a little bit, so you get a darker peak. So it's a different way to achieve a color variation by polishing the tips of the texture as opposed to inlaying color into the valleys. So we've got a couple vault key holders in that, and then the last piece, we started with Psychedelic shell and we're gonna end with it. Got a lighter sheath. This is a really cool piece of Psychedelic shell. It's sort of like green and purple, a little bit of yellow in it, and then we've got the green stitching and a green hand stained edge on it. It's super cool. All right, my table is now full of stuff. Let's see what you guys are talking about. I've got a couple minutes here before we got to go. So if you want to start your questions now, I'm looking at Kangaroo Battle Scars is the last comment. So start commenting after Chrome Excellier. But yeah, that's how that new polished Chrome Excel looks. It's just like a more intense version of Chrome Excel. And it's really nice. It's a little bit less refined, which, you know, to your taste, you might like that more or less. I personally really like it. That's your lighter, Ruin. Yeah, so everything we just looked at is gonna go live on the site in 32 minutes at 5 p.m. Central. So we're coming up pretty soon to it, which means I'm going to need to turn off the camera here shortly. If you got questions, I'd love to answer them. Any green Johnny the Foxes? Not in this drop, Jack, but I know I have green cordovan leather for sure. I'm not sure if I have any green non-shell. I'll tell you this, speaking of green, we have big plans to do wallets, and I want to make an event out of it. Somebody's asking about a giveaway, I think too. We want to do like a giveaway event for the Super Bowl, and I've got leather made to match both teams. So we're going to do another fun video like I did here with the basketball leather, but do it for the two Super Bowl teams, and then have people say like which wallet's the coolest, or who do you think's going to win, and then, you know, we're going to pick a random person and give them away. So that's, if we can execute it, that's the plan. It's getting a little tight here because a lot of people in the shop here are really sick right now, so we're a little short-handed. Yeah, and then we got to make it and film us making it. The good news is I have the leather ready to go. All right, no question today? Oh no. Any Herbies with hidden card slots? I do have one hidden card slot Herbie, if you can see me here. I'm hoping this is working. This is the acorn aspen Herbie with the horse mane cut into the spine of the exterior. And I believe this is the only hidden card slot Herbie for this drop. We did have the teal also. Ultraviolet shell coming, not for this drop. We should make more ultraviolet. That's a really good idea. Will there be a 14th anniversary stamp? Maybe. I feel like we did a 10-year and then a 13-year, and the only reason I did 13 was because I thought it was funny, because it's supposed to be like an unlucky 13. But it seems like people like this idea of like an annual sort of like collectible type of thing where it like really sets a date and time and making an event out of it. So I'm not ruling it out, but the 10 years made a lot of sense to me, and then 13 was like kind of a fun, like not a joke fully, but it was kind of just like a fun number to play off of. So I hadn't really intended on doing 14, although that Roman numeral looked pretty cool. Marble shell Herbie, none today. Yeah, we should do more marble shell stuff. I have we've expanded the shop here and have increased our leather storage area. So we have more ability now to organize our leather inventory and sort through it and organize it. I should give a tour of that sometime. But we have so much leather, and it's hard to keep track of what we got. But I know that we have ultraviolet, and I know we've got some marbled shells. I should do some more of that. Oh, a Mardi Gras drop. Yeah, Doug. I think, Doug, you came to visit, right? This would be like a kind of Mardi Gras theme, right? Oh, the experimental raw olive. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I think a lot of the stuff that we cut in here was from people asking for these pieces. If I remember correctly, I forgot to write down what we cut. But if you're in the Ashland Leather Patina Masters group on Facebook, I think many of these pieces were cut from suggestions in that group. And I think we cut like 80% of the requests. There may be some that aren't here right now. I noticed that we've ran out of time to make some of these for the event today. But we tried to cut as many as we could from people requesting it in there. So I guess the takeaway is, if you haven't joined the Facebook group, go on Facebook, go into groups, find Ashland Leather Patina Masters, and join up there, because you got a great group of people sharing how their stuff wears in. And to me, that's most of the fun. It's just seeing how nice, or how nicely the leather wears in. Difference between Dublin and Chrome Excel, great idea, great question. I find that the Dublin is more resilient because of the hard wax that's finished on the grain, where I find Chrome Excel scuffs and scratches a little bit more easily. Both of them polish back up nicely, but I feel like the density of the Chrome Excel is a little less, and it doesn't as easily hide the scratches. Now, you might say that that's horrible, but I actually think it's a vibe. Like, you can't, on a pair of boots, like, I kind of like the way that Chrome Excel scuffs up and then polishes over. On the Dublin, those scuffs, you're basically melting the wax back into place, so you can really hide a lot of the scuffs and scratches on both Dublin and Cypress because of how it's tanned, but also more significantly, just how much wax was finished onto the grain. So that wax sort of like self-polishes itself and fills back in those scratches, just like if you were to wax your car, sort of hide all those little scratches. Cooking with Phil, I was thinking about that, but I don't know if there's like any way to light up a frying pan to safely cook a wallet. But that was the idea for the video here. I wanted to like cooking with Phil. I don't think I executed it very well because I just put stuff in cabinets and open cabinets. It's not super awesome. Can I have a charitable free wallet because I have no face? What? I want to talk to Matt about custom build. What's his email? Right now, Matt's one of the people that's super sick. You guys, hopefully Matt's watching right now. If he is, you should give him a get well Matt message, but he's been knocked out for a couple days here. We've got Trevor on customer service emails right now. You can email Trevor and Matt at info@ashlandleather.com, but you should definitely hit them up. They will help you. You would love some bigger shell pieces. Any chance of that? We can do bigger shell pieces. I think the biggest stuff we ever do is like the long wallet. If that's what you mean. Remember a while back there was a leather that I called Oliva. It's olive tan leather a year ago. That will come back. There's the tannery, which is located next door here. They still make that leather. So yes, we can do that. A graffiti style wall, a reverse shell would be super awesome. Multicolor splatter. Dublin wearing like a champ. Yep. Chance of Patina Masters group chat. Chance of a Patina Masters group chat starting for Instagram users. Let me look into that. That's a good idea. How do you choose which colors are used in Psychedelic shell? We just buy them from the tannery. MacBook and iPad sleeves, we should totally do that too. You're not the first person to ask that. Oh, drinking leather. Oh man, so many good ideas. All right, I'm gonna get out of here to make sure I launch all these products on time. Thank you guys for being here for a live stream. It's been way too long. But I always said it and it's still true. This is so much fun. And it's like my favorite part of my day. So I super appreciate you guys. If you want to buy one of these or even just look at the photos that I labored over, check out the limited release tab on our website, ashlandleather.com. But yeah, you can also leave comments here if you have any questions about any of these specific pieces. I'll try to skim through comments and answer questions there too. All right, guys, hopefully you liked the basketball leather teaser as well, because I'm really excited for you guys to see me cut up a basketball on camera and then make it into a wallet. All right, later, guys. See ya.